Hello again, everyone, and welcome to the front line with Joe and Joe, Joe Pasillo and Joe Resinello. And once more, dear friends, let us go into the breach. And we're very pleased to be joined again today by a friend of the show, John Horvat. Many of you know exactly who John is, but just in case you don't, brief introduction. John Horvat II is a scholar, researcher, educator, international speaker, and author of Return to Order: From a Frenzied Economy to an Organic Christian Society, where we've been, how we got here, and where we need to go. His writings have appeared worldwide, including the Wall Street Journal, Fox News, the Christian Post, the Washington Times, ABC News, Crisis Magazine, and C-SPAN. For more than 2 decades, he's been researching and writing about the socioeconomic crisis in the United States. John Horvat, welcome back to the front line with Joe and Joe.
Great to be back on the show.
Excellent.
Always.
So John is, he right now is promoting over 2,200 rosary rallies in support of the police, and the idea is going viral. And that's what we want to talk about today. But before we do, I want to kick it over to Joe so we could start with a prayer.
Okay. We always start, it's our custom to start with a prayer because all good things start with a prayer, and this is a good thing. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. Remember, O most gracious Virgin Mary, never was it known that anyone who sought your help or sought your intercession was left unaided. Inspired by this confidence, I fly into thee, O Virgin of Virgins, our Mother. To you
I come, before thee I stand,
sinful and sorrowful. O
Mother of the
Word
Word
incarnate, despise
despise
not
not
our
my
petitions,
petitions,
but in your clemency, hear and answer us. Amen. Name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen.
John, before real quick, being that it's very hot in the news cycle, and we're going to get into obviously supporting law enforcement in America. Do you have any general comments about maybe Ruth? For those of anybody who doesn't know, Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed last night from pancreatic cancer at the age of 87. Obviously, as Catholics, we're called to pray for her soul. And it obviously has political ramifications, and in an already crazy election cycle, I think things are going to get even crazier. Do you have any general thoughts on that, John?
Yeah, I definitely. I mean, it is a event that is could be a game changer. It could be, a lot of people are saying that it will motivate both the left and the right to get out to the vote. So it may not change too much, but just intensify the battle. But I definitely think the Republicans should replace her in this short time, this 1 month period between the now and the election, to say, well, let the new president choose her. I know that's what we did. That's what the Republicans did after after the death of Scalia. Was it? Yeah, it was Scalia, I think. But I don't think we should follow in the same steps. This is a life or death battle. It's a very important battle. It's not like you're choosing between chocolate and vanilla. You're choosing between life and death. And so we need to make sure there is a justice there, and better justices than the last 2 that have been put on, who will defend life, marriage, all the issues that are very important to us, and we need to defend.
I think it's very apropos because, this topic today, why we need to support the police, I think is very applicable to this situation, for the fact that I do think there is going to be violence. I do. I think the country is going to see a time which is unprecedented in her history. And we need our police to be there, and we need them to be strong.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if we thought that the Kavanaugh hearings were violent, or were at least were very emotional, extremely, divisive. I mean, I think this is just on steroids. It's just going to be incredibly. The left is just going to go crazy, and I think it will obviously will get into violence, and the police need to be there.
There's no doubt. Joe Pasillo and myself, when we started our show 2 years ago, we basically have been beating this drum ad infinitum. It's about judges. The Trump presidency is about judges, because Donald Trump, could be president for only 4 years. Hopefully he's president for 8. But if he is president for 8, his judges will affect the United States of America possibly for 2 decades.
No.
It's about judges. And this is what I get frustrated over, John, because sometimes people, they look at his personality and they basically say, I don't like Donald Trump. And they just focus on that. This is a much bigger election than you don't like his personality. This is about a man that's going to put justices on the Supreme Court and on the federal courts that are going to defend the Constitution as it was written. So important, I cannot stress it enough. And frankly, I don't think that message is clearly being articulated properly.
Right. I mean, there have been already hundreds of judges put in the on the lower courts, and those judges filter up to the higher levels. The only thing I don't like about judges these days is they are not natural law judges. You know, it's all constitutionalist, originalist, all sorts of variations of those themes, which do defend, a lot of things of natural law. But natural law is the basis of law, and has been recognized such. Even at our founding, it was recognized as such. But it is not. The judges these days have not been educated in that school. They look down upon it. It's really frustrating, because the only real way to get judges that will judge are those who believe in natural law, and a lot of them don't.
I would agree with you. That's in the Justice Thomas is a natural law jurist. Am I correct?
I think he's the closest thing we get. Justice Scalia was not. I was surprised. He wasn't a natural law, although he did a lot of very good rulings. I mean, he was right on most of the issues, but yeah, a lot of them, most of the others aren't.
Well, being that,
but it is.
Go
Go ahead.
Well, being we're
it is very important
law,
that there be that they follow that.
No, I was saying, being that we're speaking about law, it's a perfect segue into our topic today, because if you have laws, you need law enforcement, and that means you need cops. And right now, it ain't easy to be a cop.
Yeah.
So, and obviously, police officers all around the country, they need our support. They're under assault. I think it's over 30 police officers have been killed since the time that all this unrest has started. And that's something that that I believe that you're addressing with with this Rosary Rally in support of the police.
Right. I've got together with others in the TFP. We've put together a campaign of support for police, which is a Rosary Rally in a public place, or a lot of times in front of the police station, praying a rosary for the police, and we have now we're at 2,200. We're now getting closer to 3,000. So it's just taken off. It's gone viral. I've been very surprised at how people have really taken hold of the idea. And the interesting thing is people have never done anything like this before. We have other rosary rallies that we do, but this is a lot of first-time people saying, "No, I want to be out there and support our police."
Awesome.
John, I mean, even to back up a little bit, because I think it is a fantastic idea. You wrote a book, Return to Order. Could you explain what order is, and why is it so important for society, and what's the police's role in that order?
Right. St. Thomas, he defines order as order is when everything functions according to its nature and its end. And he says nature is the source of order, and so it is very much according to our nature to have order, and order is very important. Russell Kirk, he says that order is the first need of the soul. That before you can have freedom, virtue, law, or justice, you have to have order. Order is that foundation. If you don't have that order, everything will be upside down, and you cannot really get focused. It's order is that foundational point, and so that's what we need today is order. And the police are called not to be the source of order, because they are not. They are the safeguards, the keepers of the order, the keepers of the peace that allow order to function seamlessly and allow society to progress.
Think
I've read
anybody who
in a
turned,
number of conservative periodicals, and I would agree with this statement, that you cannot legislate morality. And our society clearly, in both sides of the political arena, is trying to legislate morality. Morality is basically learned in the home. Morality is learned from God. But police play a significant role, like you said, in not only defending our society, but also protecting
Mm.
that basic boundary. And I think one of the fundamental problems is the other side of the political aisle. And what I mean by that is the left. They have this aversion to rules, to boundaries. A society does not exist properly without boundaries, just like a house would not exist properly. A father has to level the playing field, set the boundaries for the home. Why is that? Why is there such an aversion from this political side that we're seeing in America today to boundaries? To me, it's just common sense, John.
Right. I mean, it is according to our nature. It's not as if you're asking something that goes against who we are and what we are. But I mean, it is the consequence of original sin. Original sin, our fallen nature, leads us to rebel against order, or rebel against God, rebel against those things that are good for us. So it is that I think is the source of the whole thing. And of course, when you go down further and further, you find the devil right at the bottom of the whole equation.
Clearly, and this is just from me looking outside, looking in. I mean, you probably, came up with this great idea because there are riots and there's defunding of the police going on. But why do you think the police are being attacked? There's a lot of theories out there. You hear people saying that leftist-run organizations like George Soros's organization is trying to weaken the pillars of our society. You hear activist organizations speaking about the insensitivities of police. Why do you think that the police are being attacked?
Well, because the police represent order. They are the thin line between us and chaos. And these people don't want the reform of our society. They want a revolution. They want to overthrow our society, our a way of being. All those restrictions that are so commonsensical, as you said. But these restrictions are now reaching a point where the old structures that are in place are becoming unbearable. For example, identity. Identity used to be pretty much taken for granted, that you are who you are. You are a man or a woman. You are this or you are that. But even identity for them is restrictive and asphyxiating. So they want out of it. And the only real, let's say, concrete target that they have is police. Once you put police out of the equation, it's much easier to change society. And I think that's the goal.
John,
Clearly,
one thing
the response to this has been. I'm sorry, go, Joe.
No, I had a quick question about that. Obviously, when you're dealing with, yes, we are talking about the left, the political left. We shouldn't talk around that. It's not, obviously they detest a natural order, certainly a Christian order, but it's not like they're promoting anarchy. They want order. They want their order. They want the abolition of police, local police, state police. They want to replace it with a national police controlled by the central government. That's not conspiracy theory, okay? That's not tinfoil hat stuff, okay? And people need to understand that. They're advocating, they don't like the fact that in some Midwest county you have a sheriff, or I'll give you a perfect example. They don't like the fact that 6 sheriffs in the eastern part of Michigan refuse to impose the draconian orders from Governor Gretchen Whitmer. See, they're autonomous. They could say, we are not going to enforce these unconstitutional orders. That's an example of what they don't like, why they want to attack the police on the local level, because they want a police force that they can control from the central government, so that they could turn around, God forbid, the next time something like this happens, and next iteration of Gretchen Whitmer, after all this COVID stuff is gone, they could turn around and say to the cops, you will follow our orders. You're not going to have these independent-minded police departments. So do you agree with that statement? In other words, that it's not that they don't value order, they just want to impose their own order.
Well, the left sometimes has two conflicting movements inside of it. One is that centralizing power structures that they like to put in place that enforce their ideologies. But the other is that local element that likes to destroy and to just to create a certain type of chaos, like the Shaz or the CHOP, those local autonomous communities. This is something beyond the classical communist revolution like you see in Russia or Cuba or China. It's more a step ahead. Marx foresaw the overthrow of the dictatorship of the proletariat, the destruction of the state. The final, the goal of revolution of the left will eventually go towards some kind of tribal society where you destroy all types of structures because they are fundamentally egalitarian. They want to destroy all inequalities. So you have this contradiction inside the left because what they're proposing is so unnatural. You need some kind of unnatural central force to force people into into their categories. But at the same time, you do have the other part that is chaotic and wants to destroy, Christian civilization and all the aspects of Christian civilization.
Clearly, the response to this has been fantastic. I mean, you said at the beginning of the show that there have been 3,000 rallies that are basically going to take place, I believe, next weekend on Saturday. What are you asking people to do at these rallies? I know your organization, Tradition, Family, and Property, are sending out banners. What do you, and we'll get into that towards the end of the show where people could contact John's organization if they want to participate. But what are you asking people to do at these rallies across the United States?
It's very simple. It is to get together with friends and the person who is in charge of it gathers people together on September 26th in front of a police station or a public place. There is a banner, as you mentioned, that says, St. Michael, protect our police so they can protect us, and with a picture of St. Michael. It's very clear to the passing cars and the street traffic that you are there supporting the police. And then all they have to do is pray a rosary. They could pray, 5 decades, 10, 15, whatever they want to pray in support of the police. And people can be very creative in their programs. They can sing hymns. They can do whatever. They can. They are very however you want to do it. But the center is that rosary. I think it's very important, the rosary, because it is a very unifying prayer, and it's a prayer with a purpose. Many times you have rallies for the police where they just say "Yay, police" and wave some flags, and it doesn't have a lot of that coherence. The rosary gives it that coherence and gives it that purpose and connects the rally to heaven, and says, well, there's something much greater involved than just us. We want to invoke God.
John, as Joe mentioned, you've been on the show a number of times, and I can't say to our listeners enough how good of an organization Tradition, Family, and Property is. And I encourage all people to Google it. You can Google TFP or Tradition, Family, and Property. Look into it. And the reason why I say that is what you just said. The problem is bigger than just us. There are forces behind the problem. So therefore, we must turn to God. Sadly, man always thinks that he could fix everything on his own. I have come to this realization a while ago, but even while we're doing the show, Joe and I are just two voices. We must stand with God. The battle is there. And I think your approach is absolutely spot on. God is always on the side of right, and this is right. There is no question in my mind defending the police in America is right because the police protect the innocent. And this is what God does. And this is why we must unite ourselves with God. So I cannot stress this enough to people who are listening to our voice today. Look into John's organization. It is a fantastic pro-American organization. And frankly, I think it's needed today more than ever. And this is a great, great time to show your support for this organization, because they are on the front line. They are supporting what America stands for. Very important. I'm not just saying it. I utterly believe in it. Joe Pasillo and myself, our families, will also be leading a rosary on the 10th in front of two locations in New Jersey to pray for our country, in union with the Blessed Mother. So important.
John, real quick, what is the do the police know, or are they aware on any level that this is taking place?
We've gotten a lot of emails from police thanking us for us. These rallies have been going on since August. The September is just sort of the finale. One of the finales. We're going to continue with these rallies, but generally, when we go there, we just show up in front of the precinct or the station, and they are just overwhelmed by it. They really love these rallies. The police just, they just shower you with kindness. They thank you profusely. Some of them get emotional. It just really, sometimes you ask, who's getting more out of this, them or me? Because it is so gratifying to see how they really appreciate what we're doing. So you can, if you go there, you can expect overwhelmingly that the police will be behind you.
John, I'm sorry, Joe, please.
Just real quick, we're probably going to mention it at the end, but it's on my mind anyway. Is there a place or is there anything on the TFP website where people could find a local rally that's going to be happening?
Well, we've done things like this before, and we have stopped doing that because you get counter protesters, you get the other side coming in, you get other side calling, doxing, all sorts of things happening. It's really not worth it. We'd love to have just a central where you could just plug in and go to the rally closest to you, but we've have experience with this, and the people who are against us will just try by all means to discourage it. So unfortunately, we don't have that.
Okay.
John, you've written extensively on this in a number of periodicals, and basically you've stated that this is a moral problem that we're facing, more than just a police problem. The problem runs a lot deeper. Could you kind of expand on that for our listeners?
Right. It is a moral problem because morality deals with right and wrong, and most people today don't know what is or have lost that sense of right and wrong. Everyone knows it in their heart. They have the law is written upon the hearts of men. But I think the people are attacking the police because they represent the restraint of the passion, the restraint of the unbridled passions, and so it has a moral dimension. That they hate the police for this, and that is the core of why they are doing all these things against the police. So I think in the final analysis, if we lived in a moral society, this problem would not exist.
I wish people would understand, and read some history and understand the times we're living in as it relates to, let's say, things like the French Revolution. You just mentioned passion. Whole lot of passion going on in the French Revolution, right? Not a lot of law and order. And that's all that led to was rivers of blood and piles of dead bodies. I wish people would get this through their head. This is not something that just fell out of the sky now. This has been the revolutionary spirit going back a long time, all right? And if we don't do something about it, if we don't support the police, if we don't speak up and again, peacefully put this down, it's going to get, if people think it's bad now, John, it's going to get a lot worse. It's going to get a lot worse. We need to control, people need to understand, society needs to control its collective passions, okay? And start using its reason again. And it seems like right now, men have lost their reason.
Right, and you mentioned the French Revolution. The imagery of the French Revolution is appearing all over. The other side certainly understands the connection because they connect with the French Revolution. You know, the guillotines are appearing in the squares, in front of the White House, in Washington, and in Portland. The guillotine is, you know, is the symbol of the French Revolution, and so it is the idea, you know, all inequalities must fall, all of inequalities all must be, you know, leveled and beheaded. So yeah, that's what we're seeing.
You know, it's funny because this election we're seeing with the mail-in ballots, I fear fraud. I sincerely do. And you're starting to see states like Pennsylvania, the one where your organization is headquartered. The governor recently basically curtailed a third-party candidate, as well as put some, you know, regulations. I think they're extending the count 3 days
Yeah,
after,
3 days. Yeah.
which I think is very dangerous. What I think people have to understand is this. If this side succeeds through fraud, the next step is they will institutionalize the fraud into the law. You see, then it's over. It's over. And this is what's at stake. Like, and I don't even think too many people are just following along. I'm a Democrat, therefore I vote the party line. Are you thinking about what is at stake here? This is a very, very dangerous proposal that is being put forth. Many academics have spoken very clearly about it, particularly our Attorney General. If we read about what he's putting out, this is dangerous. Yet, too many people are oblivious. They're just ticking the box. I vote for Joe Biden because I'm in this union, or my grandfather was a Democrat, and they're not thinking. It's a dangerous situation. It frightens me, John. I'll be honest with you.
Right. I mean, it is. It is definitely that way. And every successive election is getting more and more apocalyptical, so to speak, because and it really is. It's not hyperbole just to say, you know, well, this is the most important election of your life. It is, and the next one will be even more important, and the one after that, if there is one after that, will be very important, because we have lost our ways. We have lost those principles are fading, and once you get away from those principles, the fundamental principles of society and of how society should function, anything can happen and will happen. And you know, we're on the edge of something. Let's say I would say the rules are still there, but as you say, you know, as you just said, you know, this next election will institutionalize or mainstream or fraud, you know, and make it and destroy the rules.
And that's exactly what we have. That's exactly what we have to fear. That's what we have to instill in people. Is like, this is not a look. I've never agreed with the Democrat Party in my life, but I never thought in my mind. I just thought they were in error. I just disagreed with them. Okay, on a lot of issues. Okay, this party's insane. And I'm sorry, I know people say, well, that's no, they're absolutely insane. They've become detached from reason. As we said earlier, their passions have completely consumed them. They're devoid of reason, and they want to impose that on everybody else. And so this is, I mean, I got tired of hearing it, you know, going back to 2000, 2004, 2008, 2000. Oh, this is the most important election. This is the most important election of my lifetime. I thought about this. This is the most important election of my lifetime. All right. And the thing is, if we don't put down these radicals, okay, and put them down soundly right now, we're never going to have normal elections. Like you said, John, a couple of cycles from now, might not even be elections. Might not even be elections.
Absolutely.
All right. So, I mean, that's a position that we're in. If people think that that's hyperbole or exaggeration, it's not. It's not. Now, and people need to understand that, and they need to get up and go vote for Donald Trump. I'm sorry. Yes, it's a political statement. Go vote for Donald Trump on election day.
Yeah, I mean, it's not chocolate and vanilla. It's order and anti-order, and that's what we're seeing today.
John, how do people sign up to be a rally captain for next weekend? And what do you need to get involved? Because I'm sure a lot of our listeners, after hearing this interview, may want to do just that.
Okay, there's not a lot of time to do that right now. Let me just get the number. I had a number here.
Oh, I think I have it. Let me see. It's 844.
That's it.
844-830-3676. 3570.
Yeah, that's the number you call. You can call that. You can register online by going to www.returntoorder.org/police rally, one word. And that'll
Okay.
get you to the page. Email is info@returntoorder.org. So
Okay.
those are the three: email, registration page, and the phone number. If you call in or register, you will not get the banner in time for the rally next week, but you can use that if it will arrive, and you can use that for a later rally. But it probably will not arrive on time because the time is short, and we print up these banners, and we have this huge inkjet printer that's just going day in and day out, just printing up these big 10-foot, 12-foot banners that give people a kind of a flag to rally around, and it's really a great way to unify a rally and to communicate that idea to the public that's around you.
All right. So what I'll do is I'll make sure I post all the links. I'm going to post this on Facebook and YouTube in about an hour, as soon as it's done processing. And I'll make sure I put the phone number and the links in there for anybody who wants to support. I want to find out myself. I want to figure out what's going on next week. Hopefully there's something. I'm sure. I mean, this is Joe and I live in a blue collar area, and we're pro police around here. So I'm sure we'll be able to find something around here in Bergen County, let's say.
Right. Just call, and if there are people there who will help, and get and tell you what needs to be done. They might know of a rally in the area. They might not. It's hard for them to. We don't have that central because people just call in. They say, "I'm doing a rally. I'm in this area," but we don't publish that central just to protect them.
Okay.
And don't fear for the rallies. If you've never done one, you're probably in the safest place you can be. You're right in front of the police station, so it's not going to be a dangerous situation.
Awesome.
John, as always, thank you for your time. You're a gentleman, and you're so generous with your time, and you're such a good friend of the show. We sincerely appreciate it. Again, for all the good listeners, we recommend highly to check out his organization, Tradition, Family, and Property. Great American organization. Look into organizing rallies in front of your police department. Look into the rally on October 10th. America needs Fatima to pray for a fair and safe election. And also, John is, as we said, the author of a very important book, Return to Order. Look into purchasing that book. It's a book needed, I believe, and should be read by all. So once again, John, thank you so very much for your time. Enjoy the beautiful day. We got some nice fall weather coming up soon. I'm sure soon in Pennsylvania, the leaves will be changing. So thank you.
All right. Excellent.
Thanks again, John. And remember, everybody, follow Joe and I at the Front Line with Joe and Joe on Facebook and YouTube. Like, subscribe, share, hit that little bell on YouTube. And please, I'm going to post all the links for not just John's, not just Return to Order, but also for the Rosary rallies for the police and how you could find out more. And until the next time, remember that our conversation is your conversation, and that conversation, it's going on everywhere. So we'll see you next time.